Let's stand up and do our pledge and then open the meeting. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're here for the planning board meeting of Thursday, August 7th, 2025. On our agenda, the first item is board business. We have minutes from July 10th. Has everyone reviewed them, and do they have any comments?
I did not have any comments.
I didn't either. Okay, can I hear a motion?
Make a motion to accept the minutes of July 10.
Can I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we've accepted the minutes. Bills, are there any bills?
Got one bill
Okay.
from the peer review for 55 Russell tennis court.
Oh, okay.
I can't. The gifts that. I hope they got my name right. You're not supposed to give me this pen. This is for A&Rs. I know you got one there, but you should probably keep the extras because we don't get them that often.
Okay, as we pass the bill around, the next is any member input or member update. I want to ask Cooper, do we have anything for the town's newsletter for August?
We do.
That's the right answer. Excellent. What are we doing?
We have one for the hazard mitigation plan being
Okay.
approved, and then one for the housing choice designation.
Okay. I thought about the hazard mitigation plan when all that flooding happened in Texas, which they apparently hadn't mitigated their hazards. So, anyway. Okay, next. Public input. Is there
Well,
anyone?
hold on.
Oh,
So when are we
okay.
going to talk about the inclusionary zoning bylaw discussion? We actually did have.
That was, do you want to do that as part of 550 King?
We can. I just want to make sure we didn't forget about it.
Yeah, no, I think that's part of that discussion.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I think
When, well, I just want to explain, when I first saw that on here, I thought, oh, we have something going on with the actual bylaw, but as I understood it, it's on here because we are talking about it in relation to 550 King. Is that correct? Okay.
Do you want to wait until Mari comes back for that one?
I don't know. I mean, I think we have a lot of info. We can continue it on, but it's part of the conversation today. We have a section for public input. If anyone is here that wants to speak to any matter that may not be agended, anyone here for that? Okay. In 6:40, so we have to wait a few minutes.
Oh, you could
No,
talk
we
about
don't have,
inclusion.
the only one that's got a fixed time is the.
It's not a hearing.
It's not a
Okay.
hearing, it's just an
Informal
update.
discussion. Okay. So
And then we can
is,
take the other ones out of order if we need to fill
Yeah.
time.
I'm thinking that we might do that with the A&R. The informal, we have informal discussion, King Street Commons, 550 and 584. Now, 584 is the newer properties what's 584?
No, it is the Yangtze.
Yangtze River, okay. And 14 Great Road project update. Okay. Introduce yourself and go for it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Chris Raymond from TEC. Here to give an update on the 550 King Street site. I think we're going to go over multiple phases and portions of the project and give some updates to those. I'm going to give an update on kind of what's going on right now. This thing on? There we go. Yeah, so I'm going to give an update on kind of what's going on right now. I'm sure you guys have all driven by the site, and you can see that there's a lot of activity going on out there, which we're really excited about. Currently, construction is making some really good progress out there. We're right on schedule, and we've made substantial completion of a lot of the main utility infrastructure that was planned for phase one. I would say we're nearing 80–90% completion of the underground utilities that are out there. Right now, we are just kind of working through some logistics of some of the utilities that can't quite go online yet with sewer and stuff. The infrastructure is nearing completion, but we can't tie into the new system yet. So we are just kind of working.
Excuse me, do you have a date for that from the water?
Yeah, yep. We've spoken with them. I believe that they're planning for that system to come online around November, maybe Thanksgiving-ish. So we're just kind of working through some logistics on how to prep our site so that when that system comes online, we can transfer over. And yeah, so utility infrastructure is substantially complete out there, and beginning some of the new earthwork and roadway infrastructure for the new roadway that's planned as part of phase one that's being constructed out there. Filling that up, bringing that to grade, and beginning the surface improvements there. So that the site that's all kind of dug up right now, hopefully you get to see it beautified a little bit here shortly. So now that a lot of the subsurface stuff is nearing completion. So that's construction of kind of phase one and what's going on out there right now. Phase two, which is right on the horizon, and that we are nearing completion of the design of that for phase two, and hoping to start compiling the bid documents necessary for that in the next few weeks here, so that we can post that and get that advertised to bid.
Once again, question. Phase two infrastructure?
Infrastructure.
Okay.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm here for the infrastructure updates, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So phase two infrastructure, yep. So looking to compile those bid docs and get them advertised so we can get that out to bid here in the next month or so. And I think with that, that's kind of the infrastructure updates that I have. And obviously we'll stick around for questions, but I think I'll hand it off to Morgan so we can give some more updates on the development side.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Good evening, members of the board. Morgan Pearson with the Lipoli Companies. Here to give you guys, well, first just acknowledging the excitement and the progress on the infrastructure. We consider that critical path, of course, to unlocking some of the pads and the sites and the phasing for the project as a whole. Giving you an update on the project in different pieces. Start with the office piece, which is, of course, the existing buildings there today. Exciting news there. The next few weeks, I think, will be before the town to get an occupancy permit for 20,000 square feet for Precision Optics, which is a tenant, a tenant we have that is looking to occupy the space in early September, I believe. That will bring up our occupancy in building one of the IBM 2 buildings to almost 50% occupancy, which is, we think, pretty extraordinary in this current office environment. Additionally, we are in very real and active talks with another 120,000 square feet of tenants across 2 different tenants, which will, if we sign them up, and when we do, hopefully, will bring the first building almost to 100% occupancy.
Could you define the first building, if you're looking from King Street, is the left one or the right one?
If you're on King Street, it's the left one.
Okay.
I don't know if it's A there or if the numbers have changed.
It's R.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that to be clear is that building back further up on the hill. So that's really exciting news in terms of, for the example of Precision Optics, they've moved their corporate headquarters to Littleton. Our team was able to convince them to come over here. They're excited about the project, as you can imagine. So, and it really helps us as we try to activate the property and the redevelopment. So that's the office piece. Great news there. The other element of the project, as you know, is the 115,000 square feet of retail. We've been working actively, as I may have reported to this board previously, Our team flew out to Las Vegas for a huge retail conference there. There was a more regional, similar conference in Boston this past week, which we attended. Had a dozen meetings there with equivalent of another 20 or so potential tenants. The activity for the retail has been tremendous. You guys probably have seen one of our videos in the past, the fly-through. But the retailers are really showing a lot of interest in the project, given the fact that the project sort of sits in somewhat of a donut hole within the retail market of Eastern Massachusetts, which is great because they want to fill it. So we've had
Could you elaborate on that?
So if you think of
It's like in the context of Medicare, donut holes are bad, you know, so.
fair, it's not like Medicare. It's a missing hole, I guess we'll say,
Okay.
in a market. If you look at if you kind of go north of Tuscan Village and you kind of come down to Burlington and Framingham and then sort of around sort of the 128, 495, and then sort of Worcester on the western part, we're in this really kind of sweet spot where there's a ton of interest and activity. It's why I think the Point has done so well. It filled the need, and we're certainly looking to fill even a greater need with our retail. And that's the response we've got from the tenants. That's not my pitch. That's what they've told us. And that's sort of also manifested itself with tours. We've had over a dozen tours in the last month and a half or so of the property, which has been great. That's a good sign of people wanting to come out, walk the site, see the physical asset. So that's been very positive. I'm happy to report that to you guys. And we are advancing the design of that and hope to be in front of this board for site plan approval for each of those buildings within the retail village this year, sometime probably towards the end of this year is our goal right now.
Okay, so that would be in phase two, you have building D, building E, and the hotel?
The hotel would not be part of that at this time. We're certainly continuing to have conversations with hotel consultants and hotel owners and operators. Our focus, though, right now for coming into you guys is primarily the retail with the residential above. So more to come on that, but on our side, we're spending a lot of time and energy, resources on advancing that so that we can come before this board later this year. And the last piece, but not really the last, of course, is the residential. We are advancing and excited about advancing drawings on phase one of that. Apologies, I don't know the letters on your plan off the top of my head. I'll get those for next time.
Q's, O, and P3.
It's the sort of the first two buildings next to R there, the IBM on that side. We are looking to target about 310 units across two buildings for that phase one of residential, which is a big chunk of the effort. So that's really very exciting. Of course, that does tie to needing to remove the wastewater treatment plant on site and all of those efforts, which working with Chris and our team and Nick Lawler at LELWD, that looks like the timing's going to be right with them coming online later this fall. Which is great. Those are the highlights, I think, for now. I guess I'll leave it there and certainly open to answering questions from this board and appreciate your time.
Anna?
Hi, Maureen.
Hi.
So, I have a couple different questions that I think really emanate from the DEER report, and one that doesn't. So, can I go ahead and get started
Yes.
on the affordable?
So just to explain, we have another agenda item about the DEIR. And so we're going to, we have you and we have this discussion. We'd like to combine the two, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Okay.
So on our agenda tonight, we have something for inclusionary zoning bylaw discussion. So that came up as a result of a previous discussion, I think 2 meetings ago, where we were trying to understand the conversation about Lupoli having fewer than 10% of the affordable units in this first phase. And so I just wanted to understand, because Maureen made the comment that based on our bylaw, you're allowed to do that, but our inclusionary bylaw doesn't indicate so. So I really would like to understand how you're planning to build out the inclusionary units in that first phase.
Sure. Let me talk high level and sort of try to get down into the weeds as much as I can. I do think there's probably value in hearing from Maren as well at some point when she's back. High level, we are 100% committed to delivering the required affordable units for when this project is complete and throughout the phasing of it. That's just a full stop. Second to that is we are 100% committed to following the bylaws as we understand them with the town, that are not for our project specifically, but are the town's bylaws in this issue. We have been following, and this is based on conversations with Maren as well as Jim Duggan, who I think is on virtually, and others in the town in working with TEC, who's helped obviously through this whole process, in the town's bylaws, which allow us to sort of phase in the affordable units, with the understanding that you never fall behind that sort of phasing.
Right.
So if, you know, for example, the first building, the bylaws that we understand those, we can build up to 30% of the units without any affordable units within those. And then that sort of changes and ratchets up as you progress in your
Right.
phasing in your, so that is the plan what we're following right now, and we are, I think, delivering the requirement, the minimum requirement, maybe a little bit more in this phase one, which will mean that our second phase will have to, you know, play catch up as it coordinates with or corresponds with those percentages.
Okay. So based off of what is in the special permit, which is for 804 total units.
Correct.
So if 10% are affordable, that would mean 81 units total.
Correct.
And 723 would be market rate. So then, in the last document we have from you, phase one would be about 287 units. Now you're saying 310 potentially.
Correct.
So at 287, that would mean 29 affordable and 258 market rate. So 258 divided by 804 units is 32%. So that 32% is why I'm thinking that based off of the affordable time, or excuse me, the affordable schedule, because it's 32%, that we would need at least 10% in this first phase of build-out. And I have it right here if you'd like to take a look at it.
Sure. No, I think and I have a little copy myself.
Yeah.
Our understanding was, and again, this was based on conversations with the town, is that 30% of the units, up to 30% of the units without any affordability, and then above 30 to 50, you have to include at least 10% of the total unit count, which is that 9 or 8.4, but we round up to 9. And so we're within the less than 50% of the units, and that, therefore, we have to create or include at least 10% of the total affordable, which is 10% of that 80.
Well, I think that's part of where we, as a board, need to discuss exactly what the meaning of it is. Are you saying that because 0 to whatever the 30%, there's nothing there, but then as soon as we reach over that one, then we start to build out? We're building out a total of 287 units. There should be 29.
But you
Let me finish, please. There should be 29, right? I mean, one of the things that we have dealt with over the last couple of years is this whole notion of needing affordable units for our residents and for the community at large. You know, Massachusetts is, the whole country is going through a housing crisis. So all we're doing is delaying it by doing it that way. That number is 32% of the market rate unit. If you look at, 258 as a numerator to the 723 denominator, that's up to 36%. So we're clearly in that range. And so to say that we're going to wait until we cross that threshold, I just think that we're shortchanging our residents.
That's the bylaw. That's why this discussion really needs to be done when Maren's here. We're being premature. If you want to talk about affordable, what about the letter that they sent us today? We should be talking about.
I understand about the commitment. That's fine. But
Okay.
we still need to talk real numbers as
Then
well.
let's continue this when Maren is actually in the room.
I think we should discuss it now. We can discuss it when Maren gets back. The
So-
staff sent around this up to 30% none required, 30 to 50%, at least 10%. So what is 30% of 804?
Oh, well, phase one, 3 days, 30% of the 300.
304 is the first phase. I'm trying to get my calculator going here.
I think that's how it comes up with 9.
Okay, that's my question. So it would be, so what is the delta between 30%, 804? What's 30% of 804?
241.
241.
241. And you building,
We're looking to propose 310.
so that's 63 units that, according to this schedule, at least 10% would need to be affordable
Of that 63,
of that 63.
we're proposing 9, so it's actually above that, but I think the
Okay.
math is different. I think we're in this gap between 30 and 50%, which is where
Yes.
310 units falls. So at least 10%, we're saying, of the total of the 81 units that were required have to be delivered. So that's 8.1, we round up to 9.
Okay, well,
And what I would say is, to just, maybe if this is helpful, we can submit to you maybe more detailed or something in writing that people can look through. And then I would certainly I would be happy to sit with Maren and the rest of the board with something more in writing. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared for that today.
Yeah,
I just
so-
wanted to talk
So
about it.
Well,
I
and
just wanted
still-
to, wanted to finish by saying that in 2017, when this update to the inclusionary bylaw was created, I was part of that group with Ed Mullen that created that. And I can tell you that the way that we're looking at it right now was not what was intended. Because people were going to be coming in and creating a development, right? And so we were looking at the number of units in that development. It wasn't going to be this phased approach. So in looking at it from that perspective of what the intention of the bylaw was, the way that you all are looking at it is not the intention. So that is up for discussion then among us board members.
okay.
And
let's
I
just-
appreciate the
Let's just
discussion.
go around the board. Bartlett?
I was reading it the way Anna is reading it.
Okay. Daryl?
I find that this bylaw makes it more complicated given the way that the project was permitted. Because the permit has specific by-phase units required there. To me, that's nice and cut and dry. Now that we're overlaying a different bylaw on top of that and trying to slice the percentages, to me is confusing. I personally think that this bylaw is making a mess of the process, not improving the process here.
Well, it's 8 years old, so
Yeah, so I haven't dissected the deltas between it to do the interpretation yet. But I think the one thing, and I'll go back to what you said there a little bit, and what I suggested at the select board meeting, is I think having a top-level Gantt that has each of the buildings with a little thing, and then annotated what gets delivered when. If, June 1st, 200 market rate units are being developed. 10 days later, 15 affordable rate units are being delivered. And then there's a gap till building 2, or whatever, so that we can actually have a concrete time phasing and quantity phasing, so that we can merge the differences between, or the numbers between the master plan permit and any of the phasing, and then make sure that we're talking about the same number. And then are we talking about an interpretation of the number? I can't tell right now that based on your verbal statement as to whether you're going to deliver 10% of the units per this unit here, and what that means relative to the total number that we've required under the thing here. I think there's just too much talk about that without having something concrete there. And I think that's a necessary step that we have to take here.
Okay.
Because then that way it becomes a lot clearer to me that says building 1 with 300 or 280 units in it is delivered, and then we have we can then bounce that against what this inclusionary bylaw means and what the master permit requires. And then do we have a delta there that we're concerned about or not? And I can't tell. So I think that needs to get clarified.
Mark?
I understand the confusion that everybody's experiencing, but when we look back to what you did 8 years ago, we never anticipated a scale of what we're looking at. We were looking at little subdivisions that had 40 or 50 units. This has 1,000. And they need the ability to ramp up and get their infrastructure done, and that costs money. That's why they get the first 30, that's why this has all been worked out. They get the first 30% with no affordables, just so they can recoup some of the money. Look at what they've got into the ground. Look at the 27 million they spent in the sewer. I'm concerned that we get our affordables. I've been touting for affordables for 20 years. I agree with you. I think we need to get a schedule from them, but understand that it's going to be backloaded, not front-loaded like you wanted.
It's not front-loaded, it's
backloaded. I agree with you. We're not going to get 10% all the way down the line. We're going to get nothing at first, and then we're going to have to play catch-up, okay? I think we still need to talk about, in the bigger picture, is it's unfortunate that this building is going to come online. This building would be perfect. If we were going to renovate this building, this could be 40 units here, 35 units. The town said no, so now they're back to square one on that. That would have taken care of everything that we were talking about. We wouldn't be having this discussion. Now the fact that they're at least looking at that, exploring that option along with what they've got going on. I think we have to, and that's why I really think we need to bring Maren in, because Maren has worked with these gentlemen to come up with this schedule. Let's all sit down, have a schedule and an understanding.
But we're the board, and we're the ones who need to make the policy around this and to adjust the policy as needed. So I think that based on Daryl's suggestion, I think that we should try to get something down on paper in terms of real numbers, and then we discuss it as a board, because I think our residents have been shortchanged long enough, and this is something that everybody's been waiting for.
But it's already
How
on
have
a
they been
decision.
shortchanged?
They've been shortchanged in terms of trying to be able to get something going with a large amount of affordable housing. And so this is the first project that will give us a large number of affordable units,
But
and that's
yeah,
part
but
of
we-
it.
I don't accept this
The challenge I have is when building one is complete, I don't really have you changed, you have, the numbers change depending on how you're actually going to construct it. At the completion of building one, how many affordable units do we have? I can't tell that from.
Well, he told us it was 9.
Well, that was tonight, but, and
What I would tell you is that
And-
I'm committed to providing some outline for the board to consider, but I would just implore you to understand the complexity of this project. It requires flexibility and an understanding that things will change
Right.
and fluctuate. What we are committed to 100% is
Yeah.
delivering the.
But I think that goes to what Anna might be talking about, is in terms of, since we don't have a schedule and a count trade-off that we're actually talking about, we're just talking about it. And
too
then I
abstract.
could think it would be reasonable that if we said the current plan is end of building one, 9 units,
Total.
end of building two, 47 units, whatever, and then you could discuss with us, well, could this be interpreted, because I'm not sure about this bylaw yet, because I haven't parsed all of it, that we deliver 6 units and then 27 units then, right? Then that becomes a policy decision on our part to say, yes, we can agree with that in terms of shifting, but right now we don't know what we're really talking about.
I think, yes, we have to have numbers. And I think that the board may not know where this 30 to 50, 75, what that came from. However, I agree with Mark. Our inclusionary bylaw did not anticipate an 800-unit development. And thereby, I think we can consider the pretty unique situation you're in, and that's basically generating cash to complete the project, which should not be a bad thing, because we all want this to be successful. But there may be some point of negotiation about the number of affordables and their nature in the first phase.
I appreciate that. Yep, and so we're committed to coming back to the board with more information. If I might though, just to kind of touch on a couple things that have been said too. It is extraordinarily meaningful, at least the way we see this, the bylaws, which we believe are correct, to the success of this project, given the economic environment that real estate development is now. And that's not us boo-hooing, it's just a reality of capitalizing projects of this size. And the board only has to look at communities like Somerville, Cambridge, and Boston, who have ramped up their affordable to 20%, and they have seen a dramatic drop in creation of housing, just full stop. That is a fact, and that I welcome the board to look up, and there's plenty of articles written on it. I just say it to say that it is meaningful for us to allow us to, as the market hopefully becomes better, we're able to ramp up on the affordable by following the bylaws. It is meaningful to us to get shovels in the ground, and I know it sounds like the board agrees that the success of the project is important, and the first step is always the hardest.
And the way I would look at it is just strengthening the partnership with the planning board here in terms of laying out what you're actually talking about. And if you are asking to defer things based on this interpretation versus that interpretation, so we can understand and make an informed decision. But I think relative, again, I'm sorry to speak for Anna there, but I think we're also concerned that you build the first building and then you don't build the second building in a timely manner. We are left with no affordable units out of the project, and that's the cheating the town out of the affordable units, and we need to be a partner in what's happening there, or else we have to come down pretty hard on what we're asking for.
I really appreciate that, and we want to be a strong partner, so we are 100% committed to that. I appreciate that sentiment very much. I would just say too, I think this was brought up, we also want to be thoughtful about if there's an opportunity like 37 Shattuck that comes up and we've overbuilt or we fully built out, like, will that be an option for us as clearly? Or if in this sense we find something where we can put, say, 40 senior houses, deeply affordable senior housing, because we haven't built them yet, like, that's a win-win, I think, for everyone too. And we'll have to, just like you said, have constant communication and be very good partners.
And I would say about 37 Shattuck, that was one town meeting. And so, let's not get into it. So we have these very detailed charts that you prepared last spring. The last one is dated April 30th, 2024. It had number of bedrooms, et cetera, et cetera.
Past the public hearing time.
Okay. Anyway, that reminds me, we do have a agended hearing. Could we pick this up after? Can you stay a little bit?
Sure.
We'll finish
Happy
our
to.
discussion. It is past 6:55. We have we are going to open, I believe, a public hearing on the National Grid project, which is maintenance of their power lines through Littleton relating to our stormwater permit bylaw. What is the verbiage we have to do to open the meeting, open the hearing? We need to read the notice.
Yep.
Can you read the notice for us?
The Littleton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, August 7th, 2025 at 6:55 in room 103 of the Shattuck Street Town Offices to consider a stormwater management permit application under Chapter 838, Article 2, Stormwater Management and Erosion Control of the Code of Littleton.
Okay, who do we have here?
Good evening, Chair and members of the Planning Board. My name is Elena Vershenina. I'm with VHB. I'm a senior civil engineer. And joining me today, National Grid Transmission Line Project Manager Amit Dors. Thank you for this opportunity to present this project. So we have 3 transmission lines that we are planning to do upgrades on. K137 line, L138, and 337 line. So they all share the same right-of-way that goes through Littleton. It starts in Ayer Sandy Pond substation and goes all the way to Tewksbury. So it's about 8 miles. We submitted site plan application, stormwater memorandum, and locus plan for your review, and I hope you had a chance to look at them. I also printed a couple representative slides here for your review. So these are typical right-of-way pictures, and I also will be talking
Thank you.
cornfields, which are on the other side. So the scope of the project includes temporary construction work for access roads and for pads, for construction pads. So it's all going to be temporary gravel, only for construction period. The project, the contractor will also provide erosion and sediment control for the project during construction, and everything will be restored to original condition after construction is completed. Within the town of Littleton, it's approximately 90,000 of disturbance. However, we have an area within cornfields where you can see on this picture we have 3 mound areas where we're going to basically bring down those mounds to cornfields elevation, and the rest of the area will be used for agricultural use.
One thing, where on the map is this? There's no frame of reference to know where this is.
You see these islands?
Yep, but where on a globe? If I bring up Google Maps, where in Littleton
so
is this?
It's west of Blood Road.
So it's in the Matheson property.
Yeah, I was going to say that most of this is in Matheson's.
Trying to.
So Springbrook Farm.
Well, here's the
Like
right of
coming
way
through-
going here.
Through
That's what I'm trying.
Gilson, by the,
Yeah.
okay.
So within the cornfields, we're not going to use gravel. We're going to be using timber mats. So it's going to be easier to restore. And we're only going to be grading those areas, and we'll also be filing earth removal permits for that work. Just want to also touch on the benefits that our transmission lines provide: regional benefits for power, and as well as local. As part of this project, we're also upgrading Littleton substation, which is west of Beaverbrook Road. I think this is the summary of the project, and looking forward for your feedback and questions.
So I had some questions from some of the abutters because they didn't. It was hard to figure out exactly where you were doing work here because the top level diagram just shows,
right. So
all sorts of things going on with annotations, but no backup on it. And then I think in particular, the right of way cuts through a housing development that's on Janes Drive, and so I know the abutters there are wondering, is work going to be happening there?
No. So we're going to be, so for this particular abutter, so we only replacing wooden poles. And on his property, we have 2 steel lattice structures, which are in good conditions, and they only see maintenance work. And if in terms of work compared to his location of his house, it's going to be 1,200 feet away west and 700 feet east of his property. So he won't see any of that access road work.
So these are the houses that are on that little cul-de-sac
right down here.
across from Spectacle Pond?
Yeah, see the right-of-way goes right
By
through.
Agway.
Yeah, on the other side of the train tracks,
Right,
there. So,
right.
let me show you my Google Map picture here, and so this is the right-of-way that goes through right across this development that I was just talking about. What work is going to be done in this area? Or
Only
none.
maintenance upgrade for the live structures. But, so we're today discussing only
Ye-
work that's happening.
Oh,
like, right
over here.
Over here.
But the abutters over here are the ones that are asking the questions.
Right, I mean, I don't know if you want to chime in on this one.
Yeah, but I had my GIS on, but I couldn't get online. I mean,
So here's, you zoom it out, you can see your right-of-way goes right through here, right?
Mhm.
And there's several houses that are contained right within the edge of the right-of-way. So these butters here want to know what's going on in front of their houses and where any of this access road construction that you're talking about, is it going to be in this area?
okay.
We can't tell from any of the submittals that you gave us.
Would it be helpful if Cooper was able to get up a map that can be referenced?
Well, they need to find out
Yeah,
where
exactly.
they're actually doing construction at.
I think I went out.
Or not or maintenance or whatever.
Now, what,
But you talked about building temporary roads, and the
Roads.
butters don't know if
Yeah.
the roads are
We're not
going.
building any roads next to this abutter. So the closest work to that abutter is going to be east of his property, 700 feet east of his property. And on the west side, it's going to be 1,200 feet away from
So
him.
No work's going on.
No work,
from there.
right.
It's all gonna be up
If,
behind that.
right, so if only that abutter will see like maintenance to utility poles.
so what do you mean by maintenance of the structures? Is that painting it, or is it?
I think they need rewiring, right,
So
or something.
this entire project is about targeted refurbishment. So if we find the asset is in bad condition, we replace it, especially wood pole structures
Right.
are all getting replaced with steel.
Yeah,
However, there are some lattice towers which are in very good condition. We believe that we can keep it and we can use it.
okay.
And when we say maintenance, that's all it means. That means we're just going to maintain it, meaning we're going to change some hardware, connections where we have
Okay.
OPGW that's going
Yeah.
over there. We're going to do some upgrades to the connections. That's
Okay.
about it. No major structural.
I appreciate the hearing for people to understand the, the extent of the work, the nature of the work. But specifically, we're here for the stormwater permit work.
Okay.
And I would say, in terms of people understanding it, you giving us engineering drawings did not do anything for anyone to figure out where this work was happening, or, I mean, I'm an architect, I can read drawings, and I was having a hard time understanding. There would have been, should have hired a graphic designer to spend 3 hours and, just show, I'm just saying this for your information, if you have to do it in other communities. Anyway, in terms of the stormwater permit issues, as you know, we've commissioned peer review, and they're not quite finished, but they did indicate, they notified us that they were satisfied, except for a few issues with erosion control, which they weren't concerned about, but they hadn't buttoned up. And they felt that at this meeting, we could take a vote with the condition of these, this particular issue. I don't know, do you have the actual communication from Green?
Not the email, but they
Okay.
did actually submit the comments today.
Okay, they did submit the
I
comments.
saw the proposed motion.
Yeah.
There.
And I think, I want anyone else in the room who has questions for these engineers about this project, please speak up. But otherwise, I think we can go forward with the motion to,
I was just going to clarify that the context
Yeah,
was
go ahead.
necessary because we could not locate where they were
I
going to do work.
totally
So it
understand.
needed to explain
Yeah,
to
totally
us
understand.
where things were
Yeah.
going to be happening.
Anna.
So similarly to the location of the work, so I just wanted to confirm, so none of the intended work is actually going to be on anybody's residential property?
Correct.
Okay.
Well,
And
right away goes through residential. Some of these parcel are residential. It's an easement.
and because it's in the easement, then authorization from the homeowner isn't required?
National Grid is always trying to, coordinate that out.
It depends upon the easement language. If the easement language says we have the rights to maintain and construct within the easement, then we just notify the abutter, explain what work is going to be done, and then we continue with the work.
Typically, if there's an easement on your property, you can build on it, but it's your own risk, because the holder of the easement can supersede whatever work you've done to it.
I'll just go back to the scale drawing that we had. There, in my understanding, there's at least 3, if not 4 main transmission lines, K 3 to 17, whatever, there. And again, as I look at Google Maps, I can see them here, but I don't know which one is which. And nobody would know whether the one that actually goes through the right-of-way goes through their front yard. Is that the one that's going to be maintained, or is it the one that's all the way down, right? That's the crux of the questions here on it relative, and then comes back to access and whether there's stormwater adjustments necessary while you build temporary accesses to any of those places. They're all tied together here. So a little bit more clarity on what your submission was would have probably eliminated a lot of the questions here. So
the James Road, the one that you just showed, that's actually structure number 13 on the K&L line, and there is no structure work. It's just insulators being changed overhead. So the maps now should reflect that, but we do need access to that structure because we need to bring our bucket truck, climb up the tower, and do whatever work we have to do.
But you're not constructing temporary roads to do that?
That's what you have to confirm.
Okay. Does anyone else in the audience have any comments about this? There was some, yeah, sir, could you identify yourself?
With regard to James, Eric Manser, 1 James Drive. Just curious if the easement at James Drive, like through the neighborhood there, like there is a wooden pole there as well, so that's included in what you're saying in terms of like not likely to need temporary road or anything like that. It would be maintenance work specific.
So the wood structure is on another line that we are not currently working on.
Okay.
The 2 lines that we're working on actually are on lattice towers.
Okay.
And I think
those are the 2 steel.
Yeah, steel lattice
that we
towers.
have. Okay.
We maintain that.
Okay. Any other questions from the audience? Board. Let's go around and give your questions or conclusions.
So I saw that Cooper put up the peer review, so what's the status on that?
That's their first official peer review.
Okay. So
And Jim said he's okay with approving.
There was an email thread, from the peer reviewer who said, I'm okay except for a few things. You should feel okay to vote on it this meeting.
I saw the draft motion included that language.
Any more? Barton?
I'm good with this.
Daryl?
No, I'm good now.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Also, the condition about the Conservation Commission.
Well, you haven't gone through conservation yet.
Right, we have environmental team who's
Right.
going to be preparing NOI for it.
Yeah, and we, you acknowledge that, we understand. May I hear a motion?
Could Cooper read the draft motion that they prepared? And then I'll endorse
Well,
that.
don't we need to close the hearing?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Procedurally.
All in favor of closing this public hearing? May I have a motion to close this public?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Cooper.
It would be a motion that the planning board approve the stormwater permit for National Grid's transmission lines with the conditions that prior to the start of construction, the applicant must address the peer review comments to Green and the planning board's satisfaction. And 2, that the applicant satisfy the Conservation Commission for work performed near the environmentally sensitive areas.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Let's
Aye.
do a roll call. Anna?
Yes.
Bartlett?
Yes.
Darrell?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you, for sure.
yeah, and of course, you'll continue with the process, but for our stormwater bylaws, we're
We're good.
approving. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so it is now 7:20, and what does that make our, so
Want to do the A&R?
I think we should, yeah, do the Poli guys. We have one other agenda item, which is fairly simple at 7:25. Can we take care of that at
Is
7:25?
anyone here for it? Is it?
Yeah, is there anyone here for the 481 Newtown Road A&R?
Yep.
Okay.
My name's Brian Hebb. I'm here representing my brother-in-law, Rick Marcoux, about the A&R plan for 481 Newtown Road. I know the submission came to you guys, trying to break off one of the lots from the farm. It meets the frontage, meets the acreage. And I know they dropped off the Mylar for this plan.
Board. Anna, do you have any comments?
So I thought that anytime plans were submitted that they needed to be stamped by an engineer, or in this case, a land surveyor, and so I didn't see in the ones that were submitted that those were stamped.
Is that A&R plan stamped on the Mylar?
Yes.
I can see it's near.
No.
No, keep going. Right there.
Okay.
Bartlett? Mark, any comments?
I don't have a problem.
My only comment is I'm sorry to see the open land go away, but that's the way it goes.
That's the way it goes.
Yes. Okay, so, may I have a motion to accept the plan of land, the A&R plan of land at, what is the address?
481.
481 Newtown Road.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Anna?
Yes.
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 Mark?
Yes.
Let me guess. Thank you.
So the sign off, you guys sign it off. Do we pick up the Mylar?
We can
Mark?
give it to you right now
Okay.
after they sign.
You need copies, though, sent back. You need 3 or 4 copies signed. It used to be, we're gonna need some signed copies of this.
You want it? Okay, we can do that.
Yeah, otherwise we'd have to have signed paper copies and you didn't supply them. Three, 4.
Is that date today, 7?
Yep.
Is it possible for me to make a comment on their project?
Yes. Well,
I live in Newtown Road in Littleton, so.
yeah, this isn't a hearing, this is like an informational. You have two, we typically limit it to 2 minutes.
I'm a builder developer, and
Yeah.
I've done 40B projects, so I can sympathize with these guys. I've never done anything on that scale, but I've done a 200 unit frontage day. So it's hard, and the money's tight, and they've spent a lot of money. So if there's a way to work things out with them, it'd be great. 'Cause as a developer, there's a lot of money up front, on the front end of these things. As long as you get the affordables in the end, it's a win-win for everybody.
Thank you for your comment.
I'll get you copies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark.
Okay, back up. We were, our discussion, well.
I think we've beaten the dead horse. Let's finish
Yeah,
up.
well, the other part of the discussion was the DEIR. And exactly how it intersects with your work. There's a lot of technical information in it. I think many people are concerned about traffic. And in terms of the information in there, it's highly technical, and there are conclusions, and whose are these?
Mine.
Okay. I just want to make sure that he doesn't. And there are, since it's a sort of an engagement with the community on the effects of this development, we have talked about the affordable housing. How do you see, and we will at this meeting, we're trying to respond to the DEIR, and so we typically do not have projects of this size at Littleton, especially, and so could you sort of explain to us what the intersection is between this document and what you are doing and what we are looking for?
Sure. Should I come up here? Is that right?
Yes, sure.
Well, Chris, you will need to chime in as well, but let me make an attempt, and we can fill in some blanks. But the intention of MEPA is to quantify the potential impacts of any project, and they do that in several different ways, but I think you've highlighted a few of them. One is the sort of environmental impact, and that can come in the form of asking the proponent to consider doing all electric buildings on the residential side, which is what we are doing. Then there's sort of, as an example, then there's the transportation side, where we work very closely with Mass DOT, who has been reviewing this extensively, as I think you may know. They analyze the capacity of the roads to handle the additional traffic. So they take that burden very seriously. As you can imagine, both 119 and 110 are their roads. And we've been working with them to commit to mitigation, and they are, in the end, will tell us what we need to do to make sure that the roads can handle the new traffic, and we will do that. That's sort of the highest level of what the MEPA process does. It allows people to provide comments, which they will consider, and the goal is to make sure that the project works for, in terms of the impacts on the community and the greater area.
So you mentioned environmental impacts, and one of the sort of unique features of this site, it's not a raw site. It was previously developed. So a lot of those considerations sort of go away. And then there's the issue of wastewater, which was is being the wastewater system that we've are trying to establish in the town is very much tied up with your project, but it will satisfy, in fact, it will benefit, we hope, the community by allowing development in adjacent parcels. Transportation is an issue that people are anxious about, and that includes pedestrian connections to the rest of the downtown area. I mean, let's call it the downtown area. And what does the DER have to say about that?
Sure. I'm going to try to I don't have every single bullet, but the gist of it is, and I don't say the gist, but some of the specifics include improving sidewalk connections across King Street as well as Great Road, improving sidewalks, bike lanes, speaking to some of the lines of sight of the driveways coming in and out for pedestrians and bikers and traffic. Chris, I don't know if you have anything else on your top of your mind.
Reducing the number of driveways out on King Street, incorporation of a shared use path
right
along King Street for both bikes and pedestrians.
So let's talk about the main intersection of 110 and 2A. Is it your will you be providing the pedestrian crosswalks that are necessary to make that work?
Yes.
I mean, Rick had talked about these
For
things,
sure.
but we don't know concretely, what that is.
Yeah, so that's absolutely the intent. And with the MIPA process right now, this is it is a process, and it's not a permit. This is not, once we go through MIPA, it does not mean that we are getting our building permit for anything that's going on here. It's a conservative way to quantify the development as a whole and kind of convert it into what environmental impacts it could have, and then that becomes a tool for the different review boards to use as we go through further review phases of
Which is why this
project.
comment
So-
period is important to us, because we would like the comments incorporated into that we could then refer to when we're reviewing your
Absolutely.
plans.
Yeah, and then, sorry, I just wanted.
Well, I think, once again, one of my, when I didn't read every 1,200
It's
pages.
1,200 pages. And
But the highlights were the entrance from Great Road,
Yeah.
between King Street and 495.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand what this lane was this way and this, could you, they seem to say no one's going to be turning, you just won't be able to turn left.
Right.
Which I think is fair. And there are other options coming from that site to get up Great Road. Then, there isn't envisioned pedestrian crosswalks there because of, there can't really be a light, or what was I reading?
Is this in the supplemental that just got submitted? Is that
I
maybe
don't-
what you're referring to?
I don't know.
So what's been presented is very highly, conceptual, and no
Right.
design has actually been done on
Right.
these, right? So this is when Mass DOT is reviewing this right now. They're trying to provide some high-level input that could potentially change the project. If there needs to be a new intersection or a new light over here that could change the project, they're trying to give that feedback to us now so that
Okay.
we can incorporate and see what kind of environmental impacts that has. When we move forward with the project, there will be a whole design review phase as we look at the pedestrian crossings, the intersections, the sidewalks, the signal timings, any sort of geometric reconfiguration there of the driveways. That's all going to get heavily reviewed again by Mass DOT. There'll be a multiple phase review process that goes through with them. So to answer your question, we don't have the specific details of that because we just haven't gotten that far.
I understand. And we do also are working under, we do not control those
Mhm.
streets.
Yeah.
Now, we have a selectman here, and I think they have talked about, well, would it make sense for us to take over these roads to have more control about them? Is there anything going on with that?
The bicycle and pedestrian committee are looking into it, but.
Okay, but not on the selectman level, yeah. Anyway, and I'm not sure it would ever happen, but, so.
If I may add to what you just said, I think that's one of the things that when I talk with residents about the project, they're most concerned about, is because typically speaking, yes, again, we're talking about scale project, it is bigger, but they're already experiencing traffic and they cannot even envision what traffic is going to look like in, say, 3 years at phase 1, phase 2, 5 years, and then 10 years. And so being able to help residents understand what that's going to look like through some design would be really helpful. And if you're saying that you don't have that now, when would you have that?
Yes, so I think that the traffic report that has been submitted to the board is a conservative level traffic report that has been done to look at the entire development, right? It takes every single use and it kind of compiles them together. As we go through each phase, we'll be submitting traffic reports. This is not the first. Or this is not the last time you were going to get any sort of traffic report. This is, for what we know right now, how we can quantify it. And
I'm just saying, speaking of that and the phasing, in the first phase, are you bringing the one driveway out to King Street, or you're just having it accessed from Gray Road? You did take out one of the driveways on King, but there's one driveway from King Street that's between phase 2 and phase 4. Is that going to be part of the first phase?
So for the infrastructure?
Just when you build
Yeah.
the apartment building, are you going to be accessing it from King Street?
That's the intent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So
As
that will
part
be
of the
built
next.
as-
So
Yeah, it's affiliated with the MassWorks grant, of course.
right.
So-
and so as right now, we're currently in the phase 1 of the infrastructure, installing utilities, and the new segment of the boulevard between the
Right.
two the residential portion.
That's a
there.
good word,
And then
boulevard. Okay.
Boulevard.
So the-
and then phase 2 will complete that utility loop, and then, which obviously the utilities are very important to support the developments there. As part of phase 3, which is currently an application that we have out to MassWorks, that's where we'll make the surface improvements and the actual physical connections to both King Street and Great Road.
So to get back to the MEPA process and how it related to the point, when MEPA was all done with that, figuring out what the front is gonna look like, what the intersections are gonna look like, and everything else like that, MEPA's like green for us. MEPA is the consultant for this.
Yes.
They're gonna make them come back to us with a front door mitigation plan. You're gonna have to show us a drawing that shows us the front, how this whole frontage is gonna look and how all the intersections are gonna react once MEPA's done with the final determination of what they want them to do, so.
So with the point, though, there was quite a bit of adding signals, all that kind of stuff.
That was all part of the MEPA. MEPA
Right.
came in and said, in order
But
for
I
this to work.
sort of was reading in the MEPA report that there is really not going to be any more signals between
Oh, I don't
King
think-
Street
yeah.
and,
No.
which makes sense.
But there were no signals. Remember
Yeah.
remember the old
Oh,
days
yeah.
trying to get
I
down on
used to
Russell Street?
take
You
the kids to school and,
you
you know,
couldn't
you
get
could just
down.
take
So
the- yeah.
the signals came in, the opticons, whatever those things are, that, so the fire engines that everybody can go through. That all was part of the MEPA process, and that's all what the developer
So
had to
I
take
guess,
care of.
I sent some detailed comments that I'd like submitted into the thing there, but I'd like to give them a heads up. And I can pop those up a little bit here, I've read a lot of traffic studies over the years for the various things here, and I think what I read in the Deere report seemed a little optimistic. We know today the traffic is a mess in that area, and this is going to add load to that, particularly around commuting hours, and then in the evening hopefully for the business and restaurant access there on it. I think you really seriously need to look at what you have for overall traffic flow, and you have two driveways that go between your restaurant and retail pieces that are the main connectors to your parking lots, and you're going to be driving all of that traffic through your piece there, and it might be useful to step back a little bit and look at how you're actually flowing traffic through there. And in doing so, my opinion, you end up out towards Autumn Street, which pulls that way back, further away from the the 2A 119 intersection, which gives you some room to actually flow traffic, as well as increasing traffic safety within the development. I think you need to look at there, because my comments that I want the board to submit as part of the review process are going to include that. And I figured just give you a heads up that that's, you know, because it's, you can't take a left out of, onto Great Road there. It's just not practical. And quite frankly, taking a left onto King Street out of that development is almost not practical. So you need to really be more proactive on looking at how to mitigate that, rather than giving us a traffic simulation from your consultant that says the road capacity can handle it.
The consultant is the state.
No, they
No,
had
they
their
had
own
their
traffic engineer do a simulation that says it can handle it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's fantasy land.
Yeah, but the state's gonna be the one that says it's fantasy land, not
That's all
us.
based on, what the state has asked us to provide.
I know, but we can see from just observing it today, it doesn't work. So,
I would like
so,
to dissent from this observation. I live in the common. I work in the common. I see traffic maybe 45 minutes between 4 and 5, and there is a backup on King Street. All these years I've lived here, when they had 2,000 cars in that parking lot, I was not even aware of them.
But that was 15 and 20 years ago. Times have changed. Traffic loads in this whole area go, and I know that.
What would you
and I
suggest,
know
Darrell,
that
that we go to 4 lanes?
No, I suggested something that they pull it back to ease the load at that intersection at any instant in time. I know the state's going to come back and they're going to give us a number that says that those roads have almost infinite capacity based on a 24-hour loading period. I've read all these reports, I've read these studies, and I know the state's going to come back and go, the road can handle it. And we can tell as we drive on that road, there's peak times that it can't handle it. We're encouraging you to be more proactive in helping address that situation rather than waiting for us to debate it when the state comes back and with minor mitigations. That's our job as part of the planning board here in terms of
And there is
feedback.
a very well-accepted planning tenet now where you slow traffic. You don't want cars whizzing through. You're going to have a whole street of retail and restaurants. And if cars have to meander through there, that's not a bad thing. Seek alternate routes.
So one of the things that I wanted to add to what Darrell was just saying is there is traffic there a lot coming to and from work at various times of the day. There is traffic, and I agree with Darrell, and I take exception to one particular comment that our applicants have put into the Deere report, and that is on page 7-66, have adequate capacity to accommodate the additional demand created by the project. So here's a way to look at it, and maybe you can provide this to us for the future. What is the current capacity of, or what is the current demand, shall we call it? How many cars are flowing through there at peak times during a given day? Because there are so many numbers in here, it's hard to tell. Give us a weekday, morning capacity, morning demand, afternoon demand, okay, for what we see. And then what do we expect to see after phase 1? What do we expect to see after phase 2? Because the numbers that were in this particular report vary everything from 15,861 on Great Road west of Almond. Great Road east of Almond was 13,288. But what is that number today? I mean, what am I looking at, right? So if I'm sitting in traffic and I have to sit through 2 light cycles or 3 light cycles right now because there's so much traffic, what's that going to mean for me as a resident in the future? Am I now going to have to sit through 6 light cycles? I mean, being able to have that perspective from a layman's term, I think is really helpful to us. So, trust me, we've been through this, we've been in this project now for years with you guys, and we understand the positives of the increased revenue for our town. But these are the things that are going to affect people on a day-to-day basis, and if they don't understand what it means for them, it's just going to really create problems. So anything you can do to provide us detail of, this is what you experienced today, and this is how long it takes, or this is what it's going to look like in the future. And it could change, right? Second, my comment to MIPA is really to ask them to provide guidance to the town and to you all for addressing the traffic and transportation impacts. And one example would be perhaps Linfield Marketplace, which is literally on and off the highway right there at, what is that, 95? And being able to whiz in and whiz out, so to speak, because you've got that light. You can immediately get on the highway and be on your way, as opposed to having to deal with all of these different lights. So those are the kinds of recommendations that I would hope to see back from MIPA to you all, is what have other projects around the state done to mitigate something this big to a town?
Understandable.
Were there any, Bartlett, do you have any comments?
Well, I was just thinking that I would have paraphrased these last few comments as people experience gridlock at these intersections, and you're adding 1,000 cars a day, or whatever the number is, and how is that going to work? That's just paraphrasing what's been said, but the perception is that it's already a problem. Traffic is, I mean, there's just thousands more cars coming from Groton and other places every day, and you're going to add
That
however
is
many
an
cars.
interesting point about the traffic from the west coming to your, and possibly not being able to turn into the boulevard. So, you know.
I would just say, high level, our incentives and our interests are aligned.
Yes.
Our retailers will abandon us if
Yeah.
their clientele cannot enter the site and exit the site. So
Right.
it's something we take very seriously as well.
Okay.
Along the same lines of the transportation getting to and from there, I think it's also important, I understand that there's going to be an actual position within the development to really work with residents and employees and employers about traffic. That's great for whomever is on site at 550 King Street, but for the rest of us on the outside, so to speak, that, again, is going to be challenging. So while there is a sentence or two about what will happen with bicycle access and with pedestrian access, the more detail we can have, the better. Again, drawings, renderings go a long way to being able to show folks where they're going to be able to cross, how it's going to be safe. You know, right now, on days off, or half days, I should say, here in Littleton, kids from the middle school will come through here and walk over to the common, get pizza from the pub, sit out on the grass. Well, what can we envision? What can parents envision for the safety of their children moving forward, going into that open space that's going to be now community space? So those are the kinds of community things that I would hope to see in the environmental impact report. Also, from a transportation perspective, we currently have the shuttle going to and from MBTA, but we also have the MART, correct? Have you talked with MART, or are they on your radar screen? Because currently residents in Littleton have a relationship with MART, I don't know for how much longer, to be able to contact them to say, hey, I need a ride, and they go within a 20-mile radius of Littleton. So if you have somebody who does not have a car or is not easily accessed or cannot easily access the common, perhaps they can call the MART and say, or however they schedule it, can I get picked up at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow? So those are all the kinds of things to, again, mitigate traffic and be able to access current resources that can perhaps be expanded. So I think you're thinking about all of this from who's going to be there, but I ask that you think about it from all of the rest of us who are already here. And likewise with bicyclists, making sure that everything that is supposed to get striped, be it on King Street or Great Road, is going to happen as well.
So, Bartlett, any more comments? Carol?
No, I don't have any more.
Mark?
My other comment is, like I said, once MIPA gives them their marching orders, we'll see a frontal mitigation plan that shows us the whole thing. We'll see what the lights are gonna do, we're gonna see what the turn, you know, what's going on with the light further down, what's going on with the bridge. If the state's gonna do something about widening the bridge and fixing it like they promised us at the point, now, not that it's your problem, but that's all gonna be addressed by MIPA. And MIPA is supposed to be working on our behalf. I think if we have questions or concerns, we should give them to you to give to MIPA. I think we should do it that way.
Well, I think you can submit comments to MIPA.
Well, yeah,
That's
but I
what
think
the-
you can-
But we should,
Yeah,
yes,
no, I mean,
absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
as a standard practice, I have no problem you forwarding the email that I sent, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do a quorum thing, so I just sent it to
Sure,
Cooper and
that's fine.
Myron. But you can send that email with my comments directly to them.
Well, it's now posted as part of the information for our packet.
So when I talk to people about developers, I say, usually, it's in your interest to make this work.
Oh, absolutely.
I am not going to presume to design it for you, but I am going to hold you to making it work.
Mr. Chair, I have two others that were in the notes that.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
One, I just wanted to confirm, you had mentioned, Maureen, about the hotel. So is that currently still completely in the works? Because the way it currently was identified in the DEER was that it was going to be 5 stories, but it can't be 5 stories in the current location.
We completely understand that. I think what we took a position of sort of what the max height could be so that MIPA would consider it in their analysis. But our understanding with the town, of course, is that it's 150 keys, but the rest of it is up to our site plan review with you guys, and that will be completely subject to that.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry if that was confusing, but it was, we understand. The form-based code, we're going to adhere to that completely.
Do you anticipate using the further property you've bought for the hotel?
I want to say TBD. I mean, it's certainly an option.
Okay.
That's an interesting, it's certainly appealing to some types of hotels that like to have visibility from the highway, but we would love it to be more of a boutique hotel within the fabric of the retail village.
Okay.
We're looking at different options. Some of it will be market driven, if I'm honest, though. A hotel is its own business, and we want to make sure that we're appealing to good operators.
So will you be, okay. I guess just in a future, you know, so you have this 2 additional parcels that are abutting your project. So do you feel like that development is separate from 550 King, or?
Well, we don't have them yet, but I think we have to take a serious look at that, and we want to incorporate it, of course, and make it feel like it's been thought out and part of the larger campus. I think that's
Okay.
that would hopefully be the interest of everyone. It's not just some sort of outlier, that it all feels like one, but we're sort of taking it one step at a time there, candidly.
No hope for the gas station?
Sadly, no, at this point, is my understanding.
We're told that it's like one of the best revenue-producing stations.
They're not selling.
Yeah.
My last comment, and this, I think, predates both of you, because it was originally back in the beginning. So I know how excited you say folks are on your various jaunts, but the look and feel of the green space, to me, doesn't feel as green as it used to be. So I'm going back to March and April of 2022, when we had visions of this. And it had a lot more green and a lot more what I would call usable green space with, you know, lots of picnic tables. You can see them. And the new greens, the new space looks like there's a lot more concrete. And that concerns me, especially from the standpoint that we're such a green town, and we want to be able to have that be part of the look and feel of what we're trying to create here. And Rick said we would have that, so I was kind of counting on that. He really talked about open space that could be visible from Great Road. You know, Mark talked about liking the green space and you know, having the stone walls, and so there's just something that's been changed from that perspective, and I'd like to see it go back, because that will bring more character of Littleton into this development. As I mentioned before, I don't see that the architecture is quite as New Englandy or quite as Littleton as I would hope, but, you know, if we can make the green spaces where we spend our time sitting with our friends having coffee, I think that would really go a long way toward making sure that Littleton residents feel welcome there.
I appreciate that comment. I think what I would say is we very much want to make the green spaces very special. And I think what you might be experiencing is a little bit of artistic license. Those fly-throughs and a lot of those newer images were directed towards our retail tenants who want to see outdoor patio space and activation of people. And so that really was sort of an illustration of an idea that we wanted, you know, to encourage them and excite them. So what I would just say is just sort of see that as what that is for now, and that we're able to continue to work with you guys on making sure the green space is special.
Great design of those.
I concur with Anna's comment on that. I think one of the problems of renderings are they can be hopeful, and the activation of that green is probably not going to call for a lot of paving. I just don't. It's like Boston, you know, I think Boston City Hall Plaza was barely occupied and it's in the middle of the city. So I concur with Anna's. And we have seen a compression of that green space as the project's gone on.
Yeah, I mean, more natural materials. We've got working farms around here. People are used to dirt on their
You can
shoes.
put a cornfield in. We would like that.
That would be unique for sure. A maze.
Okay, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you all.
staying.
Thanks for your time.
And I just want you guys to know too, if you guys do ever have comments, you know where to find us. If you guys ever have comments on this stuff, feel free to reach out to us. Don't feel like your MIPA comments are like the last time that you can. You can
No, that's
reach
why I
out to
said
us.
to have them
If you
forwarded.
ever have comments,
forwarded.
What
or
is
here,
what is your
we're gonna
next?
roll out.
When will you need to be before us next?
Let us get back to you. Let's circle up and sort of digest a lot of this information. But Chris is right. We're here anytime. So
Okay. And, you know, as we talked at the first part of this, the main thing is the affordable housing issue, which maybe there's room for a little bit of dealing.
understood.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yes.
You
Motion
want
to
to
adjourn?
vote
Or do we
on
need to, oh, yeah.
the comments, submit,
Oh,
to submit them?
do we have any official planning board comments, or are we
Yes.
just submitting them? Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you,
prefer
Mike.
them to be submitted as part of the planning board, not as an.
Okay, that's
Right.
fine.
So the documents, or I should say the staff sheet says document, it says draft planning board traffic comments, and then also draft staff letter and planning board comments. So it's all in what was
Okay.
posted.
Let's, may I hear a motion?
So moved.
Well, let's hear
I
a
moved
motion.
that,
Yeah.
We're just.
So moved. You're right. Do we second it?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then continue the 64 Beaverbrook to
Yes, so let's, what's going on in the next meeting, anything?
not too much Beaverbrook, and then we think we're gonna get a special permit application.
Well, let's put that forward, I mean, at the beginning, you know,
Beaverbrook,
in the
yeah.
640.
I had 640.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, now, can I hear a motion to adjourn?
Do you need a motion to continue I'll make a
Oh,
motion
we have to continue.
Continue the hearing till
Yeah.
September 4th at 6:40.
September
4th.
4th at 6:40.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Running that meeting, just so I'm out.
That's right. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
All right, I gotta go.